Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Bunkhouse. We got a great show for you today. You folks stay with us. We'll be right back, right here in the Bunkhouse with my special guest, my buddy, Mr. Donnie Gay, 8 times world champion bull rider. And out at the wagon, Bill and Cliff are cooking wild pig and turkey. Badger went hunting this morning. Y'all stay with us. We'll be right back. In the Bunkhouse is brought to you by the good folks at Cowboys and Indians magazine, the premier magazine of the West. Pay them a visit at www.cowboysindians.com.
At Cowboys and Indians magazine, we know the West isn't just a spot on a map or a point on a compass. We know the West is a state of mind and a way of life. For more than 15 years, Cowboys and Indians magazine has been celebrating the Western lifestyle. Join us by calling 1-800-982-5370 or visit cowboysindians.com to subscribe to Cowboys and Indians, the premier magazine of the West.
I am so proud to have my friend Donnie Gay in the Bunkhouse with us today. 8 times world champion bull rider. I don't believe anybody will ever best that record, Donnie. Thank you so much for joining us and taking time to come to the Bunkhouse and visit with us.
You know, the coffee looked good, and I just been wanting to get to the Bunkhouse, and so finally made it. Yeah.
Well, we're sure glad you joined us. What are you doing these days?
Well, I'm the general manager for Frontier Rodeo and Frontier Entertainment. We produce rodeos, PRCA rodeos, PBR bull riding, CBR bull riding, and we do concerts, little country music. And in fact, I got your name, number still on the Rolodex, so you might be having to drag your guitar out. But Jerry Nelson is the owner of Frontier Rodeo Company, which is the largest rodeo company in the world right now, and I think the best. Of course, I'm a little biased, I think, but I'm staying busy and still scratching out a living rodeoing.
Well, congratulations, and I'll bet you, when you say it's the best, you do that with some validity, because you know good rodeo stock as well as anybody that ever lived, and you've had plenty of help from your daddy.
That's right.
And you grew up in rodeo, didn't you?
My dad and Jim Shoulder started the Mesquite Rodeo in 1958. It just sold just this year to a new group, so my dad's not involved at the Mesquite Rodeo now, but this for the first time in 51 years, and I'll be, coming up on 56 here, so I grew up with the world's most western playground, place to ride bulls.
And did you just decide one day you wanted to learn to ride bulls?
With Jim Shoulders, who was, 16-time world champion, being my dad's partner, and being around almost like a second father, I was watching him, and I just wanted to be like them. I wanted to be as tough as my daddy. I wanted to ride bulls and bucking horses as good as Jim Shoulders. So I had a pretty high hill to climb.
Well, you did it.
Well, I got up there pretty good. So it's been a lot of fun. But the opportunity, of course, you came by in the early days of the rodeo, so it's fun. Just kind of having little mile markers there, and you're one of them.
One thing that I'd like to expound on a little bit. Somewhere out there's some young men who are wanting to be bull riders, and you're their idol. What little piece of information would you give them as advice if they really want to be a world champion bull rider?
If they want to be a world champion, then they're going to have to go someplace and get a job on a ranch, preferably like the Rafter G Ranch, my dad's place. Gosh, he doesn't pay nothing. He works you till you can't hardly walk, and from can see to can't see. But only time you get a break is he does let you eat lunch, and you stop long enough to ride some bulls. But when you're feeding bulls and you're building fence, keeping them in, or you're getting up at 3 in the morning to go put them back in because they've tore the fence down, you learn a little. You begin to acquire some bull sense, and I think there's some of that necessary to be the world champion. Now, if you don't want to be the world champion, then you can take some shortcuts and buy you a vest and a helmet and just hang on. There's a lot of money riding bulls right now. There's never been a better time to be a bull rider than right now. There's a lot of choices, a lot of money out there, but it's still just one jump at a time.
And in your time, there weren't any helmets, were there? First time I ever saw a helmet was after Charlie Sampson got hurt.
He wore it for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And and then throwed it in the trash. And you remember Jim Shoulders, they asked about concussions, and he said, well, they never invented them whenever I was riding. And, the helmet and the vest, and this is just an opinion, but it's mine, they will prevent superficial injuries. If you're worried about getting, shaving scars and scars here and your teeth knocked out and this, that, and the other, then wear a helmet, But if you're going to stay on top of them and be the world champion, then you don't really need all that stuff. So
what you really need is to stay in shape, isn't it?
Well, you have to learn how to ride good enough not only to win, but to protect yourself. And I think the way the bull riding is now, everything gives you an opportunity to win. They jump out, turn back, and spin. If one's got a real bad attitude, if they're really mean, they don't even put them in the draw anymore. The bulls like Bodacious. They took him out of the draw. They wouldn't let him back because he was too dangerous. Well, what's happening to these guys is they're with the vest and the helmet that they think they're safe, and they're really not. If you get underneath a 1,600-pound bull and he kicks right square over his head and his feet are about that big around, and when they come down, you have no idea the pressure per square inch that, so there's nothing safe about bull riding, and like I say, there's no on-off switch.
If you wanted to tell people one thing about your life and your attitude, what would that be?
When you find something to do, do it with all the gusto and intensity that you can. Try to, I used to tell guys whenever they'd be hanging with me, working at a rodeo, if you're cleaning the barn, you're shoveling manure, you need to be thinking about you're the best manure shoveler there is. You need to be, nobody's born with the ability to ride bulls or throw a baseball or kick a football or ride a cutting horse. You learn how to do that, and you learn how to be a positive, proactive kind of person. And you just have to reinforce that to yourself every day.
Donnie, thank you so much for taking time to be with us in the bunkhouse. I always enjoy visiting with you.
A lot of fun, and I'm glad I had a chance to come kick around in the bunkhouse with you. It's been a lot of fun.
You folks stop by your local newsstand and pick up the latest edition of Cowboys and Indians magazine, bringing you the beauty, the grandeur, and the drama of the American West. You folks stay with us. We'll be right back.
At Cowboys and Indians magazine, we know the West isn't just a spot on a map or a point on a compass. We know the West is a state of mind and a way of life. For more than 15 years, Cowboys and Indians magazine has been celebrating the Western lifestyle. Join us by calling 1-800-982-5370 or visit cowboysindians.com to subscribe to Cowboys and Indians, the premier magazine of the West.
Badger got up real early this morning with his gun, and I suppose he went hunting. I know he brought something back because I heard from the wagon that he had brought in some really good meat. So let's go out there and take a look, see what he got. Wild game is a great diversion from what we normally eat every day. So, yeah. And we got lots of wild game around here.
You bet.
How'd you prepare that pig?
Scraped him.
So you put him in hot water?
And scrape him. And you got to really keep your temperature just right and really work on it.
Anyway, these little pigs like this, they're really delicious, and by keeping that skin on there, it keeps all those juices inside. It just really makes that tender and juicy, and it just can't believe how good those little things are.
All right, I'm going to put this can in here to hold this cavity open, otherwise that'll cave in.
And the heat won't go all the way up to it and cook the meat from the inside.
No, that'll hold it open. That way the heat will go right up through it, cave in. It'll look a lot more presentable too.
Well, let's put him on the spit.
All right, we'll get him on there.
Okay. Here comes Bill with that pig.
Oh boy, look at that thing, would you?
Oh, howdy.
Man.
That little rascal.
Oh. In 5 summers on my uncle's farm as a child, I learned a lot of valuable lessons, like being proud of what you do, doing the job right the first time, things like that. And they stayed with me all these years. In 1993, they were the reason I wrote this poem. It's called The Fence That Me and Shorty Built. We'd picked up all the fencing tools and staples off the road. An extra roll of barbed wire was the last thing left to load, and I drew a sleeve across my face to wipe away the dirt the young man who was helping me was tucking in his shirt. I turned around to him and said, "This fence is finally done. 5 new strands of barbed wire shining proudly in the sun. And the wire, it's running straight and tight with every post in line, the kind of job you're proud of, one that stands the test of time." The kid was not impressed at all, stared off into space. Reminded me of years ago, another time and place when I called myself a cowboy. I was full of buck and ball, and I didn't think my hands would fit post augers in a mall. But they sent me out with Shorty and the ranch fence building crew. I was quite insulted, and before the day was through, I let him know that I'm a cowboy. This ain't what I do. I ain't no dadgum nester I hired out to buckaroo. He said, "We'll talk about that, son, when we get in tonight, but right now, you pick them augers up. It's either that or fight." Boy, I was digging post holes faster than a Georgia mole. But if a rock got in my way, I simply moved the hole. So when the cowboys set the posts, the line went in and out. Old Shorty's face got fiery red, and I can hear him shout, "Nobody but a fool would build a fence that isn't straight. And I got no use for someone who ain't pulling his own weight." I thought for sure he'd hit me. Glad he didn't have a gun. I turned around to find a place where I could duck and run, but Shorty walked up to me just as calm as he could be. Said, "Son, I need to talk to you. Let's find ourselves a tree." He rolled a Bull Durham cigarette as we sat there on the ground, took himself a puff or two, then slowly looked around. "Son, I ain't much on schooling. Didn't get too far with that. But there's a lot of learning hidden underneath this hat. And I got it all the hard way, every bump and bruise and fall. Sure, some of it was easy. Some most weren't fun at all. One thing that I always got from every job I've done is do the best I can each day and try to make it fun. I know that busting through them rocks ain't what you like to do, but getting mad, you've made it tough on me and all the crew. Sure, you hired out the cowboy. You think you got the stuff. You've told him you're a good hand, and the boss has called your bluff. So how's that gonna make you look when he comes riding through and he asks me, "Who dug them holes?" And I say, "It was you." We could let it go like this, take the easy route, but doing things the easy way ain't what it's all about. The boss expects a job well done from every man he's hired. He'll let you slide by once or twice. Then one day, you'll get fired. 'Cause if you're not proud of what you do, you won't amount to much. You'll bounce around from job to job just slightly out of touch. Come morning, let's redig those holes. Get that fence in line, and you and I will save 2 jobs, those being yours and mine. And someday you'll come riding through, you'll look across this land, see a fence that's laid out straight, and know you had a hand in something that's withstood the years. And then proud and free from guilt, you'll smile and say, "Boys, right there's the fence that me and Shorty built." Well, as my old daddy would say, we got this one saucered and blowed. Time for us to ride on out of here. We got lots of work to do. I want to thank you for joining us. We hope we taught you something about the cowboy you didn't know, or maybe brought back an old memory. Before we get out of here, I want to leave you with this thought. Women and cats will do as they please. And men and dogs should relax and get used to it. Robert Heineken wrote that, and he must have had some experience to think of that. The boys and I would like to invite you to listen to us on the radio, Cowboy Corner, and we'd like to invite you to stop by your local newsstand and pick up the latest edition of Cowboys and Indians magazine, bringing you the beauty, the grandeur, and the drama of the American West. And old Dan and Jake and Leon and Badger and I would like to know for certain that you're going to join us same time next week, right here in the bunkhouse. Adios, my friends. I'd like to thank the folks at Schaefer for providing my wardrobe from the Red Steaguall collection.